would you rather face? A cross-country road trip with someone you've never met or pirates in the 18th century? I would probably vote for a cross-country road trip. That is much more my speed, but I think this also is very adventurous. Welcome back to the Reading Chamber, an online bookstore for young adult fiction. I'm Jess, the owner, and this is our deeper dive into books that we sell at thereadingchamber.com and YA books that I'm currently reading. Now, since we are going alphabetically, it is now time for Amy and Roger's epic Detour. This is by Morgan Matson, and she's had a lot of books recently, so you might have heard of her and seen these titles on bookstore shelves. Amy and Roger's epic Detour is her first book, and it is one of my personal favorites, so I'm so excited to have this in the bookstore. The story follows Amy, an aspiring actress whose mother just uprooted their life from California to Connecticut. Now, Amy doesn't drive after a car accident killed her father, and she has PTSD from that. So her mother hired Roger, who was a family friend, to drive Amy cross-country over a couple days. However, Amy feels the need to actually live life a little bit more, so they decide to take an epic detour and stop at a bunch of different places along the road. But Roger is battling some of his own demons, trying to get over an ex-girlfriend, and so he and Amy have an unlikely friendship that is forged on great music playlists and discovering more of America. I love that this book also features some cool things like receipts and pictures from along their trip, like this. It makes the book feel much more like a scrapbook, and you're traveling the journey along with Roger and Amy. The two become super close during the trip. They've had numerous stops in places like Kentucky, Missouri, Kansas. They've driven all over the country. They meet some pretty cool people along the way. One of my favorite moments happens earlier in the book when they stop at Yellowstone and have a night in the cabin just as they're starting off on their road trip and still unsure about themselves. Both Amy and Roger grow epically throughout their entire journey, so this is a really great coming-of-age story and perfect for readers 15 and up. This also makes you want to go on your own road trip journey and get a great playlist, some awesome road trip snacks along the way. If you haven't read any of Morgan Matson's books, this is a great starting point because her books do slightly connect. Once Amy gets to Connecticut in the town of Stanwich, a lot of Morgan Matson's stories take place in that town, so they do kind of have some similarities. Amy herself also pops up in Take Me Home Tonight, one of Morgan Matson's later books, so this is an awesome title, kind of reminiscent of Sarah Dessen books. If you haven't read it yet, you are sorely missing out, so purchase this at thereadingchamber.com. Last week, I read On Twisting Tides by Val E. Lane. This is the second book in the From Tormented Tides series. This is a book we actually sold at the Reading Chamber, and it's sold out, but we do sell the sequel at our store. I finally got a chance to dive into this book. It's been a year and a half since I read the first one, which is just crazy, but I tend to read a ton of different series at once. I love switching between the books, getting immersed in different characters, so I have a hard time sticking with one series at a time. Now, if you haven't read From Tormented Tides and you really want to, I would say there are probably a little bit of spoilers ahead. This title is the follow-up to Katrina's journey, where she is now confronting Cordelia and has to go on an adventure to get a trident and stop Cordelia's mission from destroying the world. So she and a few of her friends, including Milo, team up to get the trident, but as they're going through the Bermuda Triangle, they are sent back to the 18th century. They resurface in 1720, the Caribbean, where the pirates are crawling up the oceans, and now they have to contend with trying to figure out a way to get back and get the trident at the same time. What I really loved about this sequel was that we are back in pirate times where they are in the Caribbean Sea, in Nassau, Bahamas, and really kind of seeing Milo's backstory a little bit more. I think as the first book takes place in modern day Florida, and I loved that vibe as well. This was just a cool backstory and a cool just addition to that first book and getting to see a little bit more of just adventure, I guess I would say. I thought there were some elements that could have been done better. I really didn't understand how the time travel actually happened in the first part, but everything else really made sense, and I loved the reappearance of Bellamy. The ending was also really satisfying and made me want to read the third book a lot more. So I'm very excited for that. I won't wait a year and a half this time, I promise. But I loved that this was just kind of a deeper dive into Katrina's mermaid history and getting to actually see her embody her mermaid and siren self. So to me, this one felt much more like Mermaids and Pirates than the first book did, and I love that aspect. I also liked that her friends were along for the journey. I thought that added a little bit more to the story because you had people who really were not expecting these fantastical elements. So for me, this was a great sequel. I think the third book is going to be even better. And come on, I mean, that cover is pretty great. So if you haven't read the From Tormented Tides series yet, I definitely recommend it. I am currently sold out of that first book, but we do sell the second book in our store. As a reminder, you can purchase Amy and Roger's Epic Detour at thereadingchamber.com. And of course, you definitely should read this series if you love light fantasy books, mermaids, pirates. Think of Pirates of the Caribbean mixed with some great time travel. So make sure you subscribe for more YA book recommendations, and thanks for watching.